Good evening, everyone. Today is February 3rd, 2005, and this is CTV Evening News. This comes in from Victoria, British Columbia. Gilbert Paul Jordan, the boozing barber, has been released. The St. Police Department have issued an alert today warning the public to be cautious of the newly released Jordan. The alert describes Jordan as being 73 years old, 175 centimeters tall, and weighing 79 kilograms. He is partially bald with gray hair and a gray goatee. He has blue eyes and wears glasses, and is currently in Victoria but has no fixed address. Jordan has a significant criminal record, including manslaughter and indecent assault of a female. The public should be warned that Jordan uses alcohol to lure his victims, and his target victim group is females. Under the terms of his release, Jordan is to abstain absolutely from the consumption of alcohol and forbidden to be in the company of any female or persons where alcohol is being consumed or possessed by that person or persons. And the public is asked to contact the police if Jordan is seen to be flouting these conditions. Jordan has had a tumultuous relationship with the law. At 16 years old, he was an alcoholic and a high school dropout. By the time he was 21, his criminal code included theft, assault, car theft, and heroin possession. His ravenous appetite for booze and drunken sex, where by his own account he had sex with over 200 women a year, most of them prostitutes in the slums and dive bars of Vancouver, contributed to his frequent running afoul of the law. In 1961, he was found with a 5-year-old First Nations girl in his car and charged with abduction, but he was never convicted, as the case ended in a stay of proceedings in May 1961. Shortly afterwards, Jordan saluted Nazi style in a courtroom in North Vancouver and was found in contempt of the court. Many of the people who knew him saw him as an erratic, volatile man, whose company was duly avoided. However, his neighbor, Mr. Smith, offers a different view on the man.
Stop filming. I don't want any publicity.
Oh, come on, please.
Okay, fine. This is all I know. Well, Mr. Jordan was quite a man. As a person who didn't care much about the people around me, I was too keen on finding out anything peculiar about his private life. I remember that when he first moved into my neighborhood, we went out for coffee. He told me that he had a lengthy criminal record, spanning since his dropout from high school. I knew he worked as a barber at the Slocan Barber Shop on Kingsway Avenue in downtown Eastside. In fact, I went there for a shave myself. I remember that he mentioned, "Slutty, have a drink. We'd be great pals. Available for some booze tonight? I'm expecting you. I'll have some grocery." What did not surprise me most was his unorthodox nature. He was so lecherous, but he's a nice man. Genuinely nice. I knew that he enjoyed drinking alcohol as well. However, it came as a shock to me to see the brutality in which he exerted over his victims. Oh well. Gilbert Paul Jordan was a genuinely nice man. He showed a passionate desire to share his own interests with others. I enjoy being with this man, yet somehow he gave off a strong aura. Well, who doesn't?
Jordan is known for going on drinking binges, and he was often accompanied by other inebriated companions, most of them women. In 1963, he lured 2 women into his car with an invitation to drink and was charged by the police with rape and theft. He was convicted on the theft charge but acquitted of rape. Shortly afterwards, he moved on to more serious crimes, the murders that earned him the nickname of the boozing barber. Officer Bob is on hand to explain.
Thank you for having me. Gilbert Paul Jordan was a cunning murderer, having full knowledge that both his techniques and the profiles of his victims would make their deaths extremely difficult to pin to him. Though Jordan was only convicted of manslaughter, Vanessa Lee Buckner, both evidence and patterns of deaths of these victims indicate that it is very likely he has been linked to the deaths of over 8 other women in Vancouver. The meticulous planning and the intelligent techniques in his murders show that he is sane and retains full capability of his mental capacities. Jordan would pay his victims to drink or to have sex with them, supplying them with alcohol and luring them back to a hotel room or his barbershop nearby. He would pay even more if the woman would drink straight liquor. As soon as the victim passed out at around 0.3 blood alcohol level, he would pour alcohol down her throat and rape her as she slowly died. Vanessa Lee Buckner was found dead on the hotel floor with a blood alcohol level of 0.91, more than double the needed amount to kill someone. His victims had a pattern of being Aboriginal alcoholics, drug addicts, or prostitutes. This made their deaths extremely hard to connect to Jordan, since because of their background, it was likely that the victims' deaths were accidental. The technique of pouring alcohol down the victim's throat made it seem as if the victim had simply drank too large of an amount. Jordan made an obvious effort to cover his tracks, but eventually his luck came to an end. On the body of Edna Shade, one of his many victims, Jordan's fingerprints were found around her neck. The police decided to survey Jordan, rescuing women on 4 occasions. Police reporting hear Jordan say things like, "Have a drink. Down the hatch, baby." $20 if you drink it right down. See if you're a real woman. Finish that drink, down the hatch, hurry, right down. You need another drink. I'll give you $50 if you can take it. The final time he was found on top of an unconscious woman, pouring alcohol down her throat as he had done many times before. This gave the evidence finally needed to lock Jordan up. As I mentioned earlier, Jordan was convicted for manslaughter of Vanessa Lee Buckner with a sentence of 15 years in prison. The sentence was reduced to 9 years because his last murder was the first time where it had brought to his attention by authorities that by supplying these women with this immense quantity of alcohol, he was directly connected to their deaths and for which he would likely be held criminally responsible.
Jordan's commendable ability to wriggle out of a tight legal situation provides an interesting insight into our country's legal system. Jordan is known for paying women to drink and or have sex with him, for taking them back to his barber shop or a cheap hotel room and plying them with alcohol, offering more money if the woman in question would chug straight liquor, and forcing alcohol down her throat and raping her as she died after the woman passed out. He has been found with a 5-year-old girl in his car. He has abducted a woman from a mental institution to have sex with him, has been found with his fingerprints over the body of a dead woman, and has been linked to numerous alcohol-induced deaths. Yet he was only charged with manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years, which was reduced to 9 years on appeal and only 6 of which were served. How is it that the judicial system has allowed him to elude justice? Jordan selected his victims well. He ran the Slocum barber shop in Vancouver and invested his inheritance on the stock market. He soon became wealthy. His victims, however, tended to be from the margins of society. They ranged from Aboriginal women known to be prostitutes and alcoholics to patients from mental institutions. Many of the charges brought against him were dropped because the deaths were ruled accidents and overdrinking. Many women groups and Aboriginal groups expressed outrage over what they saw as overly lenient treatment of a white man. And now we will have a medical perspective provided by Dr. Wong.
The victims of Mr. Jordan are known to have a very high blood alcohol content of over 0.3. A blood alcohol content of 0.3 could potentially cause death because the alcohol would cause the heart rate and also the breathing rate to slow down. Over 0.4, the alcohol has the much higher risk of causing death because it would completely stop the functions of the heart and also the lungs and would most likely die of oxygen deprivation. Okay, so some of the victims known are Ivy Rose, and she died with a blood alcohol content of over 0.51. Mary Johnson died with a blood alcohol content of 0.34. Barbara Paul died with an alcohol content of 0.41. Mary Jones died with 0.76. And also Patricia Thomas died with 0.51. Some of the late victims of Mr. Jordan were also known to have a blood alcohol content of over 0.4. But due to police intervenience, these victims were saved before they went over the limit and to the point where it was in risk. So Rosemary Wilson was at a blood alcohol content of 0.52, and also Verna Shatford was at a blood alcohol level of 0.43 before Mr. Jordan was apprehended. So pretty much on Christmas Day on 1961, Mr. Jordan planned to jump off Lionsgate Bridge. He has shown that his sanity is questionable, and also Mr. Jordan was diagnosed with having an antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior is lack of consideration for others, and that may cause damage to society, whether intentionally or through negligence, as opposed to pro-social behavior. As a result of his sentence for manslaughter, it was on the basis that his mental capabilities could not develop the proper intent or mens reis. A normal person would know that if you make someone drink more alcohol to the point where they are unconscious and continue to force it down their throat, they will most indefinitely die. Mr. Jordan's antisocial behavior showed that he couldn't have known, since he had the intention of paying the people so that they would drink more and longer with him.
Ended up serving only 6 years of the manslaughter conviction and was released on a probation which restricted him to Vancouver Island. But the police department did not miss his absence for long. In June of 2000, he was charged with sexual assault, negligence causing bodily harm, and administering alcohol as a noxious substance. He tried to change his name to Paul Pierce in 2000, but dropped his application after the law was changed to require fingerprinting and a criminal check. In 2002, he was arrested for a breach of probation for being found drinking and in possession of alcohol. He was convicted of these charges and sentenced to 15 months in prison, followed by 3 years on probation and strict conditions. However, He was arrested for violating his probation order yet again on August 11, 2004, for an incident at the York Hotel in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. He was identified to being party to binge drinking on August 9. The president of the hotel, Barb Berkeley, who had a serious drinking problem. She was found in serious conditions by her friend and hotel employee, Kathy Waddington, and was taken to the hospital. Kathy Waddington identified Jordan as being present. However, Jordan has been acquitted of these charges and since released.